parachute.
Like a couple Bitcoins.
Money,
Pull up on my Nakamoto.
Hello, hello. Welcome to the Blockchain Dynamics Show.
Welcome.
It's Saturday, August 6th, 2016,
Yes, indeed.
and it's episode number 22.
23, actually.
Is
right?
it 23? Oh,
Yeah, sorry,
excellent.
I mislabeled that for a second there.
That's all good. All right, we're at episode 23. We're happy to be here as always. A little announcement. Next week, our show is going to be on Sunday.
Yep.
Because I will be out of town for the weekend. So that's when I'll be back. So just a reminder there, Sunday next week.
And if this might be your first time stumbling across Blockchain Dynamics, just real briefly, what this is summarizing about a week in altcoin new coins and a little bit of trading and some news. We're probably going to talk about Bitcoin this week too because it actually had a price movement.
Right. It's essentially we're just kind of small-time traders and miners. And so we're kind of trying to do like a street-level view of crypto week to week. And as always, we are brought to you this week by Cryptopia.
Cryptopia.co.nz.
They're a really cool altcoin platform and exchange. They have all kinds of services, so definitely check them out.
And if you do check it out, go to their forum and look at our thread and leave us some feedback, and we will be able to provide you with some free dots, courtesy of Cryptopia.
Yep, dots, of course, are the native cryptocurrency of Cryptopia. And you can use them to pay for all of the services on Cryptopia, including like coin listings, forum upgrades, and other things. So it's pretty cool. So definitely check us out. We are in the altcoin section in the Cryptopia forums.
Stick it at the top.
Sticky it right at the top.
And joining us today from Cryptopia is Hex. Hey, Hex.
Yo, how's it going?
Thanks a lot for being here. We know that it's a much different time of the day over there than it is here.
It's not too bad. It's 1 p.m.
Yep.
Nice. Hex.
And Hex has been with us once before on the show, and it was great. So this is the second time. And Hex, what do you do at Cryptopia? Do you want to tell our listeners?
Everything, really. I mean, if you want to be specific. I mean, I'm one of the owners. Me and Saddam sort of started the place, and so I just take over the sort of engineering half of the team. He does the development, and so I'll look after all the servers and sort of talk to people and be the social guy.
Awesome.
Excellent. Well, yeah, we are really happy to have Hex on the show, like we said before. And he's just going to kind of go through the week with us. And, we'll have
he has a really unique perspective with his position as an exchange operator. So It's always really cool to hear from people that are in those different positions.
I think even as an exchange operator, I have a really different, unique position. Like, just in general, like, I don't think I would probably have the same stances as a lot of the site operators. Same with Saddam. Like, I think approach to crypto is just more of one of the ones that spawned from a genuine interest before, like, the price started rocketing up and the exchange started happening and people sort of got interested in trading all that stuff. Like, we sort of like, because all that stuff wasn't happening when we were sort of first starting to get into crypto, and so the things that we sort of look at, I guess, are from a different perspective in that sense.
Right. One decision I can think of recently that you guys stood out in was your decision to delist Ethereum prior to the fork. And
yeah, we weren't keen on the fork at all. Like, basically, like, from our standpoint, all of the things that they promised ETH was going to be, they were about to change. So, like, the blockchain immutability and the smart tracks being decentralized is like, we're basically going to not just, like, it would have been a slightly different reaction if they'd just been like, okay, we're going to deal with the DAO and only the DAO, and even though we probably shouldn't be dealing with the DAO, we're going to sort that out. But they implemented it in a way, it's like, well, basically, any smart contract we don't like, we will have the ability to, if we want to, in the future, just sort of do the same thing to. It's like, well, no thanks.
Yeah, and I could see how that, if you were running an exchange, that could open up a lot of just weird implications. Obviously, the fork as it was created a lot of implications for people, so it's an understandable choice, I think.
Totally. For one of the first segments of the show this week, we're going to take a second look at Breakout stake and basically this whole Breakout chain. It was suggested to us by a longtime listener of the show, which we really appreciate. And we wanted to kind of take the time to really go back and review it because oftentimes we gloss over many details of coins, probably because there's so many, and the ones that we learn more about have already stood the test of time.
Right.
Anyways, Breakout Stake, when we looked it up, one of the first unique things about it that I didn't know previously was that its wallet contains 3 different currencies in it. One that is Breakout Coin, one that's Breakout Stake, and one that's called Sister Coin.
Yeah, I was really surprised to see that when you showed it to me. They have all 3 of those tokens essentially built into the one wallet, which is very cool. And they also have colored coin functionality built into the wallet too.
Yeah, and it was interesting also to, it had been on the show recently because they had a round of ICO funding done through Bittrex, which also included the distribution of this stake part of the currency.
Yep.
But when we look back at it, the first ICO portion of this was all the way back in October of 2014.
Right. It had an ICO way back then that raised like 360 bitcoins or something. And
So this is an almost 2-year-old coin?
Yeah, in a way. And I'm unsure of why the Breakout Stake portion wasn't activated or how that became something that just occurred within the last couple months.
So looking on their website, they don't really seem to have anything about what you can spend the coin on, like any services, any goods. From what I'm seeing right now, it just looks to be another ICO coin. Like, hey, we got an exchange. Sweet.
Yeah, the one thing that they do, and I couldn't find it on their website, and you're right about that, but I saw people tweeting about their poker games that they were playing with it, because for some reason the Bittrex guys really seem to give this coin a lot of love compared to the other coins on their site, and I remember them tweeting that they were going to be playing poker with it on the website, but you know that wherever they were doing that is very difficult to find.
right.
Yeah, I mean, like, you can't disqualify like those sort of anecdotal use cases, right? Like, if you wanted to have like the Cryptopia guys wanted to have a regular poker game with Dot, like it's no different than just having a regular poker game. Like, there's also Poker Coin and other coins that are geared specifically towards poker. So it's cool that people are like doing that, but it's not, like an actual use of the coin.
It's not very novel at that level, no.
They're advertising that they are compliant with U.S. gaming laws, so I think that's one of the angles that they're trying to go for with
Well,
it.
if that's true, it sounds like that'd be a pretty difficult thing to achieve. So,
But
that's something? Yeah.
The question
Yeah.
for me is the casino available yet? Were you able to?
No, I don't think the casino.
That would be the first question for me. It's like, it's all well and great to be compliance with whatever you want to say you're in compliance with, but like, until we see it in a casino, see it in some actual use case with some other third-party vendor or provider, right?
Right. And besides the anecdotal evidence of people playing poker, I could not find the casino for some reason.
So yeah, I guess if we're missing it and it's like in front of our face and we didn't see it, then I'm sure somebody will let us know.
But I really thought the part with where they have this proof of work coin called Sister Coin that's being generated, which isn't traded anywhere, which I thought was weird. And then they've got this Breakout Stake portion that there's a limited set number of, and
Right.
when you hold Breakout Stake, you are part of the proof of stake on the chain, and you get rewarded in Breakout Coin.
That's an interesting way.
Isn't that weird?
I mean, I do like the idea of having multiple chains in one wallet like that. And one of the cool things that you can do is that what you just said, you can have the Breakout Stake token that remains fixed in supply and then pays out the interest in the regular Breakout coin. I think that's a pretty cool idea.
It's interesting.
See, now if you presented that to me as a ASIC resistant idea, then I would totally buy into that a bit more, right? Because if they've only got so many Breakout Stake coins and then actually staking doesn't result in more stakeable coins, that to me is more legitimate than just most POS models.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Do you know if there's like a use case for the sister coin?
No, that's the one part that seems very explained from my research today. The Sister Coin, I launched up the wallet to make sure that all 3 of them were inside of it and that they were sendable and whatnot.
Right.
So they all exist, but I don't know how you would get sister coin without mining it because it's not being traded, and they don't seem to discuss it very much within their own community. So,
Well, that's interesting.
Yep.
But so that's our second look at Breakout Stake, and kind of the whole Breakout chain. An interesting approach to a multi-chain token, and we'll see if they can build up the use case.
For the next little section, we have just a couple of news items that we thought were going to be interesting to speak about. The first, of course, maybe the largest thing that coincided with the Bitcoin price movement was the Bitfinex hack, which was a medium-large Bitcoin trading exchange.
Yep. Definitely one of the bigger exchanges out there. The amount lost is something like 110 or 120,000 Bitcoins, so it's a huge, definitely a huge compromise. And it's kind of we're seeing so many of these again now. I feel like there was a lull, maybe a bit of a lull between Cryptsy and like a Gatecoin, where we didn't see a huge amount of exchanges failing.
It's a sad statement on the state of cryptocurrency that you're describing it in such a way. Like, I felt like a bit of a lull. Like, we would bat you for a hack, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's like an earthquake. We're due for a big one.
Right. It almost does feel that way sometimes, though, just based on, I don't know, the human beings that are out there somewhere.
It's a major problem for cryptocurrency in general. Just the fact that every time this thing happens, you never know. You can't tell if it was an inside job. You can't tell to what extent, how the systems were compromised. You just never really know, partly due to the nature of cryptocurrency. And so it's one of the things that we're finding that's just kind of crazy about the scene is it just keeps happening. It's unbelievable.
But even the most cynical person realistically can't ever claim that as anything more than a suspicion. Like, you can't, as much as you want to say it's an inside job, like there's in crypto, so many things that can go wrong for you at so many stages,
Right.
Things that you wouldn't necessarily consider as a layperson, like the fact that, you've got a data center with a disgruntled employee who you mouthed off to one time at a support ticket, and they're about ready to quit their job, and they log into your server and they're like, oh look, just grab all these private keys. I won't even necessarily spend them now. I'll just have these private keys, take them. And a year later, it's like, oh yeah, look, there's 100,000 Bitcoin here. I'll just move that now. I don't work there. They're never going to fucking know it's me. Like, there's so many different vectors and ways that you could just get absolutely fucked.
Yeah, and I didn't actually mean to try and imply that it was something on the inside, because you're absolutely right. Like, there's just no way that we can know. That's one of just the crazy things about crypto. We just don't have a way of knowing what really happened, and it's interesting. It's starting to get tiring, I think, for sure. Just you kind of have to almost price it into your trading these days. Like, oh, I'm on an exchange. Well, I have to price in the 5% chance that.
Well, one thing that we know for sure is their most recent post says that what they're going to do is come back online, and then upon logging into the platform, customers will see that they've experienced a generalized loss percentage of 36.067%. And they say that later on they'll explain how they arrived at that number, and maybe they'll work on buying. They might produce a token that represents that loss that they'll try to buy back over time. That's kind of the plan at this point.
The only the only way they could possibly even try and argue the fair way of arriving at that number was if they took the total balances beforehand, the balances after they lost whatever amount they've lost, and then divided it, and that's the percentage that they've lost. Like, if they lost 37.6% and everyone is just having their balance reduced by that much, that's probably the most fair way of doing it. But I don't know if I agree that they should. Depends on what their terms of services are, I guess. I haven't looked specifically at what they said they will do.
Yeah.
It's a weird way to handle it, I think.
Certainly unprecedented. So some people, of course, there's always people on both sides of the fence with any announcement or decision, and it's no different with this one. But they claim that they're obviously they had a lot of liability for a ton of money, so they're trying to do it in some sort of correct way, which is different than maybe Cryptsy comes to mind. But
right.
They felt like this was the fairest way to proceed. So I guess we'll see how things go, what even maybe some legal systems think if it comes to that, right?
Right.
It'll be interesting to watch how people react to it just in general. Like when you talk about Cryptsy, like I thought what was going on at Cryptsy was obvious the whole time. There's a lot of people saying, hey, you guys should be careful. Like the warning bells going off here. Like something's not right, even if we can't prove it. And so many people who are just like to the last second depositing, going, "No, it's all good. Like I've spoken to support. They're saying our balance is there. It's all great." Until like Cryptsy actually came out and said, "But we got fucked."
Yeah.
And then even for a while afterwards, they're like, "Well, Cryptsy, even though they got fucked, like they're gonna make it better, right?" Like so. I can imagine like a whole bunch of people going like, "What? You took 36.7% of my balance? Like, what the fuck are you talking about?" And other people going, "Oh, that's great. We'll just trade and fees will get it back." Like, it would just be an interesting thing to watch. Like having no stake in it personally whatsoever.
Yeah, no, that's funny that you would say that about Cryptsy too, because both Brandon and I felt like that website was so shady right from the very first day when we learned about trading Dogecoin, basically.
Yeah, I just remember it
Just
was
bells
crashing
going
a
off,
lot.
like you said.
Really slow deposits and stuff. You just don't, those are all.
We would always have
red
to send
flags.
in support tickets to get deposits, basically, stuff like that. Be like, okay, are you guys going to deposit anything today? Well,
Even MT Gox, I remember like when that one went down, there were still people like up to the last day being like, "Oh, it's fine, they're great." It's like, this is looking pretty bad, folks.
so anyway, we'll be keeping an eye on the ramifications of the hack there. Another piece of news that's related to Ethereum Classic, which is still going crazy volume-wise trading, is that Coinbase has changed their position somewhat and has decided that they're going to allow people to withdraw the matching Ethereum Classic credits to the balances that they held there at the time.
I think that's a great move by Coinbase, and I'm surprised to hear it because it sounded like they were having some troubles with replay attacks and stuff at first. So I wondered how they were able to mitigate that and to what extent.
Did you say they changed their stance? They were originally not going to give people their Ethereum Classic,
Yeah,
and now they are.
right. Well, I guess, yeah, it did seem that way. They were going to not trade it at all was their original stance, and now their
Yep.
stance is that they're going to allow withdrawals, but still no trading.
So I would. My next question would be: did they delist before the fork, or were they in support of the fork? Did they stick with Ethereum when it went all like Britney Spears?
They stuck with the fork, I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
So
as well.
They're going to keep
okay.
trading Ethereum Core for USD, and then they're just
Then I don't think they should credit Ethereum Classic. Like if they stuck with the fork and they kept Ethereum, and then they've now later listed Ethereum Classic, like it's a separate coin, right?
right. I agree.
Like if the people had Ethereum with them, those Ethereum Classic are basically theirs. Like they can credit them, sure they can, but I don't think they should or have to.
Yeah,
It's a new coin. It's a separate listing. They've still got Ethereum there. You've got your Ethereum. Like it's not your Ethereum Classic. Do you have the private keys? No.
right.
Yeah, it's a really
If you wanted Ethereum Classic, like you could have withdrawn Ethereum to your own wallet, and then you would have Ethereum Classic with your Ethereum.
right. Yeah, totally. What's funny to me is it sets this weird precedent. Like, what if every single time a stupid coin had a hard fork, the exchanges had to release like a withdrawable token of the old fork? It's like,
Right.
oh man, we've had a fork on Gorilla Coin, so I need my old Gorilla coins in a separate wallet, please.
Or like I've still been fascinated by is, with Bitcoin being so controversial sometimes, what if it forked and
Right.
exchanges deciding to support one or the other or both forks of Bitcoin, if that were to ever happen?
Well, we've had scenarios where it didn't come close, but where those were potential outcomes, right? Like we almost had XT versus Bitcoin Classic.
Yeah.
Not that XT came even close to winning, but like that would have been a scenario where some people would have carried on their own chain. I don't think it's going to be some kind of apocalyptic like event that's going to cause chaos. Like you look at the difference between Bitcoin and Litecoin. Like sure, there's a huge price disparity, but they are just two chains carrying on. Like why can't there be a Bitcoin and a Bitcoin 2 or whatever it ends up being called. Like there's, it's not like when a new country forms and they start their own fucking like currency. Like the New Zealand dollar doesn't have huge impacts on the US dollar. Like they keep just being separate chains of currency in different countries, right? Like the people who use Bitcoin Classic will keep using Bitcoin Classic, and all the people who use the new Bitcoin, and like it'll be two legitimate, viable chains. Surely, isn't that the point?
Yeah. Well, and no doubt, also, if a normal fork occurs that most people agree on, nothing even happens anyway. If
if everyone agrees on it, then it's even less of an issue.
choose a random block to split from, and there was actually a coin like that, I think, a week or two ago. Most people are probably just not even going to pay any attention to it. But the timing with Ethereum Classic is something interesting, I guess, because of all of the controversy around it and the fact that they were not keeping their word at a certain extent, I guess.
And Ethereum Classic has kind of continued to just steamroll the markets this week, too. It's been just as hectic this week, if not more so than it was last week. So obviously there's, we're seeing kind of something unprecedented play out in front of our eyes with Ethereum Classic versus Ethereum. I think it's crazy.
So let's move on to the next little bit, which is going to be our random coin spotlight, where we roll a random number from 1 to 100 and then look at that numbered coin on CoinMarketCap.
Yep.
And this week we rolled on Prime Coin.
Prime Coin. This is a really cool coin. A really old coin. This is like a 2013, early 2013 coin, I think. One of the first kind of early altcoins.
And its main sort of claim is that it's designed to find prime numbers that are unknown. And it seems like it's won some world records.
Yeah, they have some records of prime numbers that they've found, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. Funny.
It says the last record is on May 16 of 2014, so I wonder if they found any new ones since then, or if it's getting harder.
I see that, but then if you look to the left of that, it says another world record broken 5/16. So they're not very
That is
website's
May 6th.
not great here.
That's the same day.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Sorry.
But
I was thinking about the other way for some reason. That's not long ago.
No, and it's really cool. They are Cunningham chains. It's a specific type of prime that it's able to find, apparently.
And it was funny when I was looking up, this isn't actually the only coin designed to do this.
No, I wouldn't imagine so.
So...
but it was the first, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure I remember Prime Coin from a couple of years ago.
Yeah. So, it had a pretty good coin market cap, I think over $1 million there.
Yep, and market-wise, it's had a pretty interesting past. When Bitcoin pumped the first time, like up to 1,000 or whatever, it had a huge spike. And then it kind of has been pretty quiet ever since. But as recently as July of last year, it had kind of another small pump. Obviously, it's come down since then, but in terms of the actual fiat value, it's been pretty flat, kind of climbing a little bit as Bitcoin has gone up. So it's an interesting old coin to look at that it does have a valuable use. I'm not sure to what extent.
Yeah, right.
Generating new prime numbers. It's cool. It's a cool thing to do with computing power, I think,
It's one of those coins, like there's few coins that I can say I actually really like. Like you guys are talking about, how its market's going and whether it has any uses. Like it's one of those coins that is specifically for a purpose. Like there's no question about what it does. Like the proof of work is that it's finding proof of numbers, and then everyone gets a reward, which is the chain. Now that may or may not be worth a lot, but there are people with specialist interests that are going to do this regardless of whether or not Primecoin exists. Like you remember last time I was telling you about how before I got into Bitcoin I was doing Golem rulers. It's exactly the same thing. Like you could, now that I think about it, probably actually just make Golem ruler coin, and people will go out and they'll look for Golem rulers, and every time they get Golem rulers they'll get credit coins on the network. It's the same thing. Yeah. Is that worth a lot of money? No, but it's a hobby that people are doing regardless, so it's totally a legitimate chain and purpose. Like I dig it. It's awesome.
Yeah, I do like that perspective as well, in terms of like, anyone can make a blockchain. So when you're trying to understand like what makes a really cool blockchain, like you said, having something that's purpose driven and is just good for that purpose and isn't trying to be anything else is pretty much, in my opinion, one of the coolest things you can do with blockchain right now. And so that was our random coin spotlight with Prime Coin. Up next, this is kind of in response to the whole huge drop in Bitcoin. When Bitcoin was first spiking, we wanted to try to analyze, take kind of an analytical perspective on how that affected the altcoin markets. And so we're going to keep going with that now that Bitcoin has had kind of this week where it crashed a little bit. And so the question essentially is, when Bitcoin has a huge price shift, what is the effect that that has overall on the Bitcoin value of the various altcoins, and what effect does it have on the fiat value of the various altcoins? And it's always interesting to see. My guess, I was kind of expecting alts to dump a little bit just because people tend to either get cold feet and try and cash out in Bitcoin into fiat, or because people just want to get Bitcoin for margin trading on exchanges and stuff. So I was kind of surprised to see the numbers this week. Bitcoin is down about 10.9% since last week. And to measure the kind of the change in altcoin value, we have the blockchain dynamics coin index, which is 32 kind of old school cryptos that I've been keeping track of. It's just a mixture of coins of large, medium, and small market caps, and coins that are generally just have been stable with stable development, I guess you could say. So in terms of how the altcoins were affected by the Bitcoin crash this week, 11 of them were down in Bitcoin price, but 21 of them were still up. So it's interesting to see that they were essentially trying to hold a little bit of their value separately of Bitcoin there. In terms of fiat value, USD value, 22 of them were down and only 10 up. So it looks like they were still adversely affected overall in market cap. The average change in price in terms of Bitcoin was plus 9%. So about a 9% change in Bitcoin value. The median change was 7% there. And the average change in USD value was about 2.5% down, and 2.4% for the median there. So pretty consistent gains and losses across the board there. The biggest winners of the coins in the index were ETH Classic, Geo, and Myriad. And the biggest losers were Nautilus, TrollCoin, and XEM, the new economy movement.
Okay, wow. That's a lot of info. Thanks, Brando.
Yep. So I'm just trying to keep track of this. So
Do you feel like, other than like the actual proper analytical stats that say, the prices moved by this much and this much were showing up and this much were showing down, do you actually think that crypto and their markets are currently in a place that you can sit down and economically look and analyze and be like, all right, I'm going to buy this coin by this much, and then realistically, reliably have that be an outcome? Like, I don't think crypto's at that place. Like, I still sort of refuse to expect it's anything other than speculation on 99% of the people playing the game in the moment, right?
Right. I'm just essentially the point of this is I'm curious to see to what extent the markets of altcoins are still tethered to Bitcoin in a sense. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not trying to like pick a coin out of the list and see which one is going to.
No, I wasn't saying that that's what you're trying to do, but do you think that that's a thing that people can do, or and if it is, how many people playing the game do you reckon can? Because I reckon largely it's a lot of just speculation and people getting lucky and people not getting lucky.
In my experience, I've been able to find kind of weird niches in crypto like that with cloud mining and with other things like with algorithmic trading and stuff. Like, I'm not really a very good programmer, but I do have a bot out there that does return a pretty decent profit. So I guess my experience is that if you're willing to put yourself into some of these niche markets and try to, explore something,
But is that just part of the anecdotal? Like I was saying, some people get lucky and some people lose. Like, do you think you got lucky, or do you think you did well yourself?
I think, there's obviously a little bit of luck in there, but in general, I have not taken a high risk strategy. So,
Right.
like, I haven't experienced many major losses, I guess you could say. I've always been able to get kind of a steady revenue. So it's hard to say, obviously, whether there is. The question, I guess, could be, is there a safe way to play the crypto game? And the answer there is definitely got to be no, as we've just seen this week with Bitfinex.
I would say definitely, absolutely yes. But like,
Right.
is the safe way to play the the cryptocurrency game the way anyone wants to play the cryptocurrency game. I don't think so. Like nobody wants to, make 2 cents a day clicking all the faucets and that's all they do. Like,
Oh, right. Sure. Yeah. I guess from my perspective, it's funny to. I don't think there is a safe way, honestly, or at least, I mean, maybe not a safe way to do it quickly. I'd say holding Bitcoin would be the best way at that point. If you really like, just staying out of alts altogether is probably a
because
good.
I still think safe ways are on the way, right? Like all the things that people currently do online for money, people haven't provided platforms for Bitcoin yet, right? Like MTurk, is that survey program people do? Like there's no Bitcoin survey program. There's no click on these advertisements for Bitcoin programs. There's no like AdWords in Bitcoin and all that stuff yet. Like that will come as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and that's a good kind of point and that's what you'll see in terms of traditional investment too. You see a lot more people, sometimes some people would say the smart money are focusing on services and stuff that use the blockchain, and they're not just speculating directly on, different blockchains.
Well, the services have to come first in order for the second part to work, right? Like
Right.
like as an exchange, like Cryptopia, we don't make a lot because we don't have a lot of trade volume. But when that trade volume comes, like we will make a good amount. It's like the trading world in crypto compared to the trading world on Wall Street are completely different worlds. Like you've got the big boys over there doing their real money stuff, and that's not to discredit like magic internet money or call it anything like that. Like crypto is legitimate in my opinion, but like in the trading scene, like you're not at the point where you're not just buying that office to have the shorter internet cable for the faster relay times to the exchange. You're buying all the offices in the block so other people can't be that close to the exchange. Like it's a different,
Right.
totally different.
Yeah, you're right. And and in addition, I think to your original point as well, like no, I don't think that there is a formula that people can follow right now to, pick coins based on even the analytics of the things that we're talking about. But Brando's statistics, I do think, are interesting in regards to the specific part about Bitcoin being tethered to altcoins or not, because I hear so much speculation around that particular topic. So it's fun to look at the actual statistics, even if they might change. It's pretty funny to know that, most coins go down with Bitcoin.
My gut feeling would be it's situational in every case, right? Like it's always an individual case on the pair. Like every
Yeah.
coin has so many different variables. Like Bitcoin can go up, and there have been times where dot goes up at the same time, just because we were doing some promotion that people still wanted dot, regardless of what the Bitcoin price was doing. There are other coins that go down because Bitcoin's gone up, because that's all they do. They're traded coins. Like there will be other coins where it's like they've actually got services and goods vendors where they're just doing what they're doing, so it's completely unaffected by the price of Bitcoin because it's got its purpose. Like it's all
Right. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, there's obviously huge individual variations in the coins, and the reasons are like I guess the way that I look at it is that the short-term volatility in the reasons for these short-term swings are almost always more present and more effective on the market on a given day than the long-term factors like, oh, this is what's happening with Bitcoin, or this is what's happening with
If
fiat.
you
So
want to see the influences that prices can have on various markets, just go to any troll box. Like log into Cryptopia, watch the troll box, find a market, one of the Bitcoin markets that doesn't have any volume, get like point 0.1 of a Bitcoin, and find one that's got that point 0.1 of a Bitcoin across like 100 Satoshi spread. So people will look at the coins and go, holy shit, that coin's got a lot of action going on. Like the price just rose 100 Satoshis. It's like I spent 0.1 of a Bitcoin or 0.1 of a Bitcoin, or like I didn't actually spend any volume, but I moved the price, and people will all of a sudden start stacking up buy orders behind you. It's like this is silly. You saw one person do one insignificant, random, arbitrary thing, and then it's just like creates an entire movement behind it.
yeah, people often like underestimate just kind of how personal markets can be, where they'll see something happen on a market and they'll be like, oh, the pump for Jimbus coin has finally started or whatever because somebody bought $20 worth or something, and then On the other side, it's just somebody who like had a couple drinks and bought a random coin off the internet, like no thought whatsoever behind it.
Yeah, Saddam and I were talking about this last night, like how trading for so many people is just an emotional thing. Like,
Yeah,
I'd bought Penguin Coin because penguins are cute, or like I was angry and then I saw the price go down, so I sold. But like, someone in chat that I really like because they've got a cute avatar was like, buy this coin. So I did.
Yep.
Hope she likes me.
Saw that a lot in the early Dogecoin days, where people would just get popular with the community, and then they would like get followers who would buy whatever coins they were hyping. Woolong, of course, being the first and foremost, but there were lots of people who did that in smaller ways too.
Used to be that whole Twitter thing, like, oh, so and so said tweet to buy this coin, and then everyone buys the coin, and they just made out like bandits.
So I guess we're gonna move into these new posts.
Yep,
This first one is kind of a great, hilarious one. Just an idea here. Oracle, they're going to do faith in humanity here, restore it, but proof of aid. So they're going to have people take videos of themselves performing kind acts, and they're going to reward them with their coin.
Yep. So the
Seems
first,
highly romantic to me, and very difficult to do correctly.
the first new coin of the week is Oracle. We always like to talk about all the new coins that come out every week. We left a few off this week. We've been leaving some of the worst ones off, just like the super high pre-mined ones, or the ones that'll probably never become chains. But the first one that we did cover was Oracle. And as Woody said, it's a proof of aid system.
A proof of kindness.
Proof of kindness. So this is a lofty aspiration, I would say.
It's one of those ones where I'm looking at the AND page and I've just got so many questions. It's more questions that would be viable to really handle in the segment that this coin sort of really deserves as far as like time in the show should be. It's like one of those things where it's like, it could be such an awesome idea if it's what I'm thinking of in my imagination right now, but I know it's not. It's going to be the shitty coin that no one's going to remember, right?
Yeah, because it's such a unique idea, but it's just they obviously only have that part down.
It's a little bit preposterous, unfortunately, in terms of, we've talked about like STEEM being gamed. Can you imagine how much a coin like this could be gamed in terms of like, they have to have a system to validate that you've done good deeds and then pay you in the coin.
Which is going to be, all these systems are relying on people who are going to validate democratically and then
Well, they haven't. I can't see that they've clarified it in their post, but it makes it sound like they themselves, as the developer, would be like going, "Oh yeah, that guy's done a nice thing. I'll give him some of my pre-mine." Oh yeah, that guy. It doesn't.
It is that. I thought I saw something where he was like, "There's going to be, a group of people that would do it," but now I can't find it either. So
looks like they've.
So it sounds like one person is just going to be like, "Oh yeah, he was walking that old lady across the street. Give him 2 Oracle coins." Like,
here
it's not a decentralized thing, is it?
Yeah, there's
Here,
the instance will be reviewed by Oracle node runners, which will in turn upvote it if it was in fact an act of kindness.
After like a kind of must node deal.
The proof of vote, it's permanently lodged in the chain.
So they're calling it proof of vote. I don't know about
that one's risky. Wait, is it proof of vote or proof of kindness? I'm getting lost.
Yeah, exactly. No, so some group of people probably with the most coins are going to decide what's kind and not, I think is what it comes down to.
And I bet it's pretty often going to be their own submissions.
But what if it ends up that their like main demographic is neo-Nazis and then they think kind things are different things and
it's very, that would be
kindness is subjective, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's a great point. That could take a really dark turn for the Oracle project. It's like, that's hilarious. So yeah, like you said, more questions than answers on this one, I think.
Yep. And also just another ICO once again.
Yep.
We're waiting for those good proof of work coins to come back.
It's true.
The next one that we saw new on Bitcoin Talk was PX, which is a swap coin coming over from PEX.
I already had it. You've said the swap word.
Yeah, they're swapping the chain. They swapped it, and then they had another mining period, and then they had a really short, ultra high interest stake period, and then I think the proof of work is now done. So
And it's in a high pos, yeah.
Yeah, always questionable when some of these relaunches happen. Sometimes they can be cool in a way, but I really have to wonder what's the point. But this thread is actually pretty interesting. The guy has brought in I Got Spots, the coin developer, to
Retired.
Yeah, the allegedly retired but clearly not. I Got Spots is back, and he coded this one apparently for a fee or whatever. And so
Of course.
they're just, I don't know, they just post in the thread a lot and say they kind of snipe at each other, and it's weird. It's funny.
He wasn't gonna like make the wallet out of the kindness of his own heart, right?
Right? Yeah. No. So that's PX. Honestly, this is, if you were like saw this one at the moment that it got launched, it probably would have been okay to mine if you're just somebody who likes to mine new coins. And I think the thread is worth reading just because it's kind of just on edge the whole time.
Yeah. Interesting new coin. Next up, Goonies.
Goonies coin. This is based off of the movie from, I don't know if it's from the 80s or the 90s, but we've all seen it.
Yep.
At least if you were a kid in America when we were, you definitely had seen the Goonies. So it's an altcoin that uses the script proof of work algorithm, so that's not very unusual. The ticker is Goon.
And it did get listed. They went with that Yobit listing.
Yeah, but they're on Yobit. The future list, of course, is just the classic Bitcoin stuff, so I don't see any ICO here, and I don't see any pre-mine, so that's always nice.
Right.
Is there a pre-mine?
I didn't see one.
So yeah, I guess not all blockchains have to do anything special. So as long as they're not like promising something ridiculous or something, I kind of like coins like this, I guess.
It makes me think about hilarious ones that have been rebranded in the past.
Right.
And one of my favorite ones that comes to mind was that WTF, what the fuck coin, that then rebranded as World Trade Funds.
Yeah, that was,
remember that?
Oh, totally. I loved that. That was one of the best rebrands I've ever seen.
And didn't Shits and Giggles coin rename to Save and Gain?
Oh yeah, I remember that too. Nice. That's a good one. Save and Gain. I wonder if that Boats and Bitches IPO ever renamed itself to anything.
Another good one was Pimp Coin to OK Cash, which is still going.
Yep. Unfortunately, they weren't like WTF was funny because they managed to keep the ticker and just call it. They just came up with something totally, completely different to use the same ticker for, but the same blockchain. So yeah, that was Goonies coin.
Goonies coin, just reading the end page, is another one of those coins that sort of just describes the general application of a cryptocurrency. It's like you can send and receive transactions from anywhere. You can store your hard-earned coins in your wallet because
it's a club.
You can find coins. You can find them. You can send them to other people.
Yeah, no, I love that they posted as though that's like, it's not the future set of, whatever coin that you're paying for this coin with has that future set already. So it's really funny too.
Yeah, future goals. Block Explorer. Awesome. Android and iOS wallet.
We love the
cool.
Yeah, so we always think those are funny.
The next one up on the new coin list, it was Lazarus Coin. And I really didn't want to include any more ICOs, but this one I did because they actually have an escrow at least, which so many times now we've been seeing people just posting Bitcoin addresses and saying like, oh, I'm going to do something. So at least these people are using a guy who has been used before. And I don't think it says anything specifically about their project, but it was enough to get it listed here.
Yeah, it's another decentralized apps on the blockchain IPO.
Is that 100%? 100% IPO, ICO.
I do not. Yep, it's a DPoS only.
Yeah. Supply 10 million LAS, ICO amount 10 million LAS. Sweet.
Yeah, I really question the choice to have it be DPoS only. That's probably my least favorite.
So what is DPoS? Is that just the 100% IPO?
No, that's the proof of stake system where they, instead of having like a percentage reward that uses your coin age, you just get a fixed reward every single time you get a proof of stake block.
Okay.
So
do you get more blocks for having more coins, or just everyone gets the same amount all the time?
No, you get the same amount no matter how much stakes, which means that you have to break your coins into tiny little chunks. Otherwise,
Okay.
won't. Otherwise, you'll get really screwed out on the interest, essentially.
That sounds horrific from like a actually using the coin standpoint. Like defragging wallets, like that's just creating more and more inputs. Eventually, it'll be like, oh, I need to send these coins somewhere, and it'll be like, you can't. The transaction's too large, and you'll be sending 0.1 satoshi, one
That's
satoshi, one satoshi, 10 satoshis, 10 satoshis, 100 satoshis. It's silly. That sounds silly.
Yeah, from a technical perspective, it's really disadvantageous in many ways. People,
Especially when you consider that POS networks generally tend to have trouble holding themselves together in the first place. It's just creating more work for them.
yeah, and I can vouch because I have mined a lot of these different DPOS and high POS are the two systems that use that kind of fixed reward, and you always have to break your coins into these tiny little inputs if you want to maximize your interest. But then when you go to try to send them, it's just like horrendously laborious because it's churning through. It's just like, oh, I want to send 10,000 coins now. Okay, that's going to be 400 inputs that I have to put into this block or whatever. It's like, so yeah, it's a poor technical choice, and I really wish that people would transition back more to at least the traditional proof of stake system, which has coin age and doesn't, penalize you for not, breaking your coins into a million pieces. So yeah, that was that's Lazarus. I guess we went on a bit of a tangent there, but if you're looking for another smart contract IPO, I guess then check out the thread.
Demon Coin.
Demon Coin.
This one had a huge pre-mine, so I thought that was funny.
Yeah, we're just, you have to call out some of these high pre-mine coins.
20%.
20%. I bet it's a really long proof of work too, so it's just like millions of blocks. Block reward is 100 coins. The pre-mine is 10 million coins. So that's a 100,000 block pre-mine, essentially.
Man.
Very greedy. People are greedy these days. I don't know.
Is it greedy or stupid? Because I look at these stupidly high ICOs, and part of the problem is the coin supply, right? Like even if they sold those 10 million coins at one Satoshi, like it's not a lot of Bitcoin. If they just had less coins, like this makes the price higher almost by default. Like not necessarily, like a still shit coin will still be a shit coin if no one wants to buy it. But if you're trying to set an initially higher price, like less coins will do that far easier for you. Far, far easier.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe I'm just an old curmudgeon or something, but like, it seemed like people used to kind of balk at a pre-mine if it was more than 3% or so.
Like I don't want to be sitting here giving like people listening like all the tips to make the worst best shitcoin, but like it just seems like they do things that are so counterintuitive to what they're trying to do. Like they're trying to make a lot of quick money, and then they do things that actively counter that, like having high, massive coin supplies and ridiculous POS rates and stuff that are just going to drive the price down through being there in the first place.
Right. It's like they've designed these coins to only last for like 2 weeks when it seems like if you put in the extra effort and maybe made it try to last for a month, you would get like
Yeah, because that's so much better, right? Like,
Exactly.
this is tune in next week to hear our pro tips on starting a shitcoin.
Yeah, exactly.
Listen, and how you too can scam your friends from all their money.
But
All around the world.
these guys must have been doing it for a while, so I kind of, they've got to be the experts. The people who actually release these 20% pre-mine shitcoins must know. But.
No, I think it's just so easy. I think that it's just, it's meaningless to them. They don't. It's like
Right.
breakfast.
Yeah, that's a good point too. There's no cost, so why not?
But the next one on the list is GoldCoin.
GoldCoin.
Golden Coin.
Yeah, well, the ticker is gold, GOLD.
Mm-hmm.
Is this a new coin? Because I'm pretty sure there's a gold or a golden coin on Cryptopia with that ticker.
Yeah, this is not a very original name or idea, so I wouldn't be too surprised. But
It was one of those ones that are like, oh, fuck it, everyone else, we're just going to be gold coin ourselves too.
Yep, that's exactly it. I think it is a new coin, I believe, and it's exactly they're co-opting not only the ticker but the gold idea that we've seen 100 times already.
That's like a new level of lazy and shitcoins, really. Like, if you can't even just search Google for the coin ticker and Bitcoin talk or just cryptocurrency, like, is this name taken? It's the first thing anyone should do. Like, I don't know how you can get to an announce page without realizing there's another coin with the same name and ticker. Like,
Yeah, and it just seems like they don't.
it's like we're supposed to trust that you know about cryptos in general, that you know like how anything that you're doing, like you don't even know to check for another coin. Like it's beyond basic. Like that's the first red flag for me. Like it's just utter shit coin. Like they've taken someone else's name. I'll fuck them.
And of course, it's wallet builders too. So if there's ever an issue with the chain, they're not going to have any way to support it. But it's out there. They made it. Golden coin. It's real.
Yep.
It is a blockchain, if nothing else.
The next one is UGain.
UGain. Very positive theme.
And there's not much here either. These guys took a different route to the pre-mine, which is where they only took 4%, which might sound like a lot less than 20, but that's a massive number of blocks.
Yep, so one of the tricks that developers will use to hide a large pre-mine is they'll have a really long proof of work stage, like arbitrarily long proof of work, and then they'll say, oh, well, we have a 4% pre-mine. Well, does that mean that it's 4% pre-mine over 20 years of mining or something? That could end up just being huge. In this case, I calculated it out to about 60,000 blocks of pre-mine. So still, I mean, in my opinion, that's probably too much.
I can't justify pre-mine like at all, regardless of what your intent or what you're saying you're gonna do with it. Like you don't need it. Like as someone who made a coin that was fair launch without pre-mine, like without any of that bullshit, just mine your own coin. Like if you can't mine your own coin, what does that say about the confidence in the coin? That the person that made it isn't going to throw a fucking GPU at it. Just one GPU at it. Like, you'll get heaps of coins because no one else is mining it, right? Like it's
Yeah, totally. I agree completely.
Yep.
Why can't you try and build value on this chain that you've created? Like, and that's what all the great coins have not been, in my opinion, huge pre-mine. Like there have been very few.
Some insta miners though, that've gotten way up there.
Yeah, that's true. But
yeah, but insta mining, like define insta mining, because like if insta mining is literally like the chain is now live on the network, I posted the announcement, I'm mining it. Like someone has to mine it. Like you're just gonna wait for the first person to start up and start mining it before you start mining it. Like there needs to be two people for a network, so someone has to be mining it at the start. Someone has to find the first couple of blocks. Like is there some kind of unspoken rule that's like, oh, I've started a coin, but I can't mine it yet because no one else knows about it? Like that's your reward for being the early starter. Like that's what you did. You started the network, you found those coins, and then it hopefully pays off for you. Like,
yeah,
I don't get people and they're sort of like, begrudging people their like early starter bonus. Like the Satoshi moved like one of his coins, the first block. I wouldn't. A lot of people would freak out, but I'm like, good on him. Like he fucking made that coin. Like he deserves it.
yeah, I agree completely on that. And it's just really funny to see how people react to that situation. But
yeah, no doubt. And actually, the next one is a no pre-mine coin. Finally,
there we go. It is called
ZoneCoin.
ZoneCoin.
This coin says it has a mission.
Yep. This guy's name is Dominic Quick. I have a hard time believing that's his real name, but if it is, that's badass. That's a pretty badass name. Stay in the Dark is the handle. He's proud to announce a new cryptocurrency called ZoneCoin. This has the generic goal of bridging the gap between...
That's so generic. It's like, I've read that as you said generic, and it was actually like the definition of generic. It could not be more generic. Sorry, carry on.
Usually the thing that we see where people will just repost the Bitcoin future set. At least he is proposing to expand Bitcoin, but like you said, it's the most generic way he possibly could. Like, they're going to bridge the gap between Bitcoin and retailers, and that's all we need to know. No more
Yeah, it starts off was built on the basis of facilitating trade between two parties at the same time.
It's like
awesome.
Creating a free energy machine or something silly like that.
Yeah,
it's not possible.
I guess I just think the funny part is that this is the only coin this week without a pre-mine or an ICO. It's hilarious.
Yeah, we've had a pretty a poor selection this week, honestly, and that's just part of where we are in the kind of the release cycle of altcoins and stuff. I think a lot of people came up with interest after Ethereum took off. I think a lot of people were invigorated and kind of the people that did have ideas, for the most part, have brought them to market already or about to release them. And we're kind of just seeing this wake of shitcoins wash over us as we move on to the next phase.
I guarantee if there's going to be a Bitcoin 2.0 or a Bitcoin 2, like a Bitcoin 2 that just replaces Bitcoin, whether or not it is Bitcoin, like the next one won't be a fork. It won't be a clone. It'll be some new written from scratch to purpose standardized like platform. It's
Yep.
not going to be like a Bitcoin fork or anything. It'll be a new thing.
It won't
And
be QT.
yeah, exactly.
I agree completely, and we've kind of seen the start of that. Like Ethereum's obviously nothing like, it's not just a new QT or just a reskin or whatever. And we're seeing coins that do go beyond just kind of reskinning the wallet, even if a lot of them are still borrowing really heavily from Bitcoin in terms of their underlying structure. To really, we're seeing a lot more coins, I guess, that are branching away from that core code and doing more interesting things because of it. So that's
I think we truly have not even scratched the surface of what blockchains are capable of. Like this, just like because it's how many years has it been? Not nearly enough. Like we've fucking gone from like rubbing sticks together to make fire, to, like actually cooking food and shit. Like from there on out, it's like, oh, actually, we're forging steel and we're fucking mixing fucking chemical bonds and changing atom structures and doing all like we haven't. We've only just started like using it. Like distributed computing and distributed processing, distributed storage, like all kinds of stuff that's just going to be enabled by the blockchain that we haven't even figured out yet.
Yeah, I agree completely. I think we're definitely just starting to see what's possible now. Like we're just starting to break away from Bitcoin, so yeah, it's really cool. So yeah, that was ZoneCoin, I guess. And we have one more new coin this week.
Beer money.
Beer money, just a funny name for a coin, so got to give it up for that.
And we watched their video, which was kind of funny too.
Yeah, they have the CEO of Beer Money explaining once again the highly lofty goal of being accepted in every place that beer is sold.
Right. So aside from their impossible goal, the technical specifications aren't the worst that we've seen this week or in recent times.
I thought it was funny because the pre-mine is 2 million, and 1 million of the pre-mine is it's labeled under coding costs.
Right.
Which I always have thought that just the idea of using a coin to fund a coin is funny to me like that, because is he essentially proposing that the second the market goes up, he's going to sell 1 million coins to pay for his coding costs?
I don't see any other way that he could live off of it.
And how could he know? I mean, the coin isn't on the market, so how could he know what the coding costs are?
But is that wrong? Like, why? That's more honorable, notable to me. Like the fact that he's like, okay, I took payment for Bitcoin and Bitcoin. Like, I'm gonna hold on to it. That to me is worth more than him being like, oh, I fucking like got paid to Bitcoin. I just wrote some code and it disappeared. Like, he's vested in it.
What makes it funny to me, I guess, is that he's already valuing his cost in Bitcoin. He's already taken it that far. So, in the sense that if he was really serious about it, I guess that would be a pretty badass way to value your contribution to the coin. So I guess, yeah, I couldn't fault him in that sense for sure.
So you never know. Beer money.
Beer money. Maybe one day you'll pay for beer with beer money. And that is going to be it for the
New
new coins. Moving on to the coin listings. We always like to keep you guys informed of what the different exchanges are doing as far as listing coins.
Yep. It's a big moment in a coin's life when it gets listed somewhere.
And so we're going to start off, of course, with Cryptopia. This week they added CeaCoin. That's an old coin that's been on it's been on Poliniex and all the big ones too. But now you can trade it on Cryptopia, which is great. They also have Granite Coin, Educoin or EduCoin, AnarchistPrime, which is that's an interesting addition, an older blockchain, and Expanse, the Ethereum clone or fork.
Yep.
So a good listing or a good kind of roundup from Cryptopia, I guess. It's actually pretty cheap to list on Cryptopia right now with dots. It's only like 100,000 dots. So if you need to get a coin listed, now is a good time, I think.
Yeah, it's 50,000 dot just to get on the vote, and then you can either win the vote by having the most votes in a week. So that could be 1,000 if no one else votes, or it could be the full 100,000 if someone else votes.
Right.
But otherwise, if you want to skip the voting process, you can raise a support ticket in 200,000, and we'll just get all the details from you and sort it out. There's a small backlog of coins being added at the moment, just because we had a database, not a database, a wallet server have some hard drive issues, so we're building some new ones. And so once that new server that I'm setting up after this interview actually is ready, we'll be back online with all the wallets. We had a few wallets down. It wasn't too noticeable because managed to set all the new servers up quite quickly. Just getting the last of it done today, and then those coins will get added once that's all done. The ones that you just listed.
Oh, excellent. Cool.
Nice.
So, yep, those are the Cryptopia listings.
And maybe if you need just a little boost getting that Cryptopia, those dots for the listing, come over to our thread, say hi.
Yeah, of course, if you have anything to say, it could be good, it could be bad. If you thought we treated a coin unfairly, or maybe you thought we were too nice to a coin, stop by our Cryptopia thread, and we'll throw some dots your way.
So I'll just head over to the farms. You guys are way too nice on those shit pre-mines and those fucking ICOs.
Yes.
They're fucking...
Coins, but every once in a while, you see so much of it in the new, especially. But every once in a while, you'll just see like, oh, there's a fucking badass coin that I probably wouldn't know about if I wasn't looking at all these high pre-mined shit coins.
And then Poliniex listed their Ethereum Classic against the USD Tether market.
Yep. So just expanding their Ethereum Classic markets, I guess. Is that the birth of the ETH Classic base pair on Poliniex then?
I guess so.
Interesting.
On Yobit, they listed TrollPayment, TodayCoin, UGain, Goonies, and BitpokemonGo.
Yep.
But Pokemon Go is dodgy as all fuck, if you ask me. Like, they have no business being whatever they're claiming to be, surely.
Yeah, that's like the fourth Pokemon coin that was listed last week.
They almost certainly going to get sued by the Pokemon company
Yeah.
for using the logo, right? They have nothing to do with the game. You can't buy Pokemon Go credits with Pokemon Go coins. Like, it's just so twisted that it even got listed, in my opinion.
Yeah, usually the situation in those coins is that they just become worthless before they would ever get sued, so it just never gets on the radar of the copyright holder.
Yeah, but like, as far as the people making the coin are concerned, but like Yobit listed it.
Right, yeah, you'd think they would care, but that's not been what we've seen from Yobit historically. They will just add anything, I think.
Yeah, they do not seem to be very aware of what they're doing a lot of the time.
I think they're just they feel confident that they aren't going to be made liable for that kind of stuff. And I'm not a lawyer or anything, so I can't speak to kind of what risks they actually are taking are.
Right.
I don't think they should be made liable for it, but like I personally wouldn't list that coin even if they asked to pay the 200,000 dot listing fee. I just went no, just bad, wrong.
Yeah,
Go away.
I can definitely sympathize with that as well.
Yeah. And so here's another Pokemon coin on C-Cex, which was Poke, P-O-K-E, which is then they renamed it to XPOKE.
So they launched this coin a week ago, and they've already renamed it?
Yeah.
That's a good start. Got to have the X in there for reasons that nobody will ever know.
And they listed Papafrancesco, which we've seen going around everywhere still, and then Ethereum Classic from C-Cex.
Another one to get on with Ethereum Classic. Yobit is still suspiciously not had Ethereum Classic. I wonder how that's going to play out.
Right.
They probably just will never add it, I guess, or
I don't know.
maybe they'll. I'm really curious to see if they credit the ETH Classic.
I don't think they will, but I mean we didn't either. But I think it would be a slightly different scenario for Yobit because our stance was we delisted ETH before the fork, and then people voted on Ethereum Classic, and that was a separate listing. Like any Ethereum Classic that we would be able to claim which we haven't, because it would involve actually going and getting private keys and dicking around with stuff that we just can't be bothered with or have time for. But like that's a new coin listing, whereas Yobit sticked with Ethereum, right? And they still have Ethereum. So like if they list Ethereum Classic, I don't know where. I don't think they should probably have to credit it either, really.
Yeah, and I think the difference obviously is that you guys had delisted Ethereum essentially before the fork, so it's obviously you're way past the point of expecting to get ETH Classic in that situation. But yeah, I'm also surprised there's not more of an outcry, but maybe people just kind of understand that once you've given your private key to this exchange, it's like you can't feel slighted if it doesn't play out the way you thought it would.
Which is why it's interesting, I suppose, that Coinbase has kind of changed their position now to let those withdrawals happen, right?
Yep. Yeah, it's true.
It's interesting because they really didn't have to.
I don't think I was trying to qualify it before, but now that I really think about it, I don't think anyone should have to credit the Ethereum Classic. Like,
yeah,
unless they delisted Ethereum after the fork and swapped to Ethereum Classic, then I think they should probably actually credit, and maybe that's circumstance.
Right. Yeah, maybe. So yeah, ETH Classic at C-Cex.
Also listed, NovaExchange listed the GoldCoin, the new one,
yeah,
the copycat, and they listed EmiratesGold.
So yeah, there's a theme there.
And then LiveCoin listed STEEM.
Not a surprising listing. LiveCoin has been trying to kind of round out their listings with higher profile coins, and so not surprising to see STEEM on the list.
And finally, Coinexchange listed SecureCoin, CrownCoin, Comet Coin, AsiaDigiCoin, and GoldCoin.
Yep, so another exchange to add GoldCoin there, and another mix of coins from Coinexchange. And I think that will do it for the listings this week. I would say not a huge week for listings. Just we can see that ETH Classic is expanding its reach still, but otherwise kind of just the usual mix of stuff you'd expect.
Yeah. Hasn't been a huge listing week. I like Sia, the one that's an interesting one, coin wise, because that's the hard drive one, right?
No, that's
storage.
Burst. I think Sia is supposed to offer storage somehow. Burst is the proof of storage.
Another coin with a purpose.
Right.
Yeah, I think Saddam was talking about Sia. I think he likes it, so if he likes it, it's probably pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
So next up is our coin birthday section, and we do have one coin birthday, a 2-year birthday this week.
Must be getting close to coming up to some 3-year birthdays, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we might have even missed a couple at this point. It's hard to say.
Yeah, but I feel like there must be at least one or two by now.
So 2 years, Librex.
Librex coin, this is LXC. I remember being around for the launch of this. I think it was in 2014 still. Yep, looks like it came out around late summer of 2014. But I don't really remember much else about it, honestly. Surprised to see it's still out there.
Yeah. Hovering around 100,000 market cap.
Yep, looks like it's traded on Bittrex.
Just Bittrex.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, it came out. I'm pretty sure I mined this one in the early days, but I never got attached to it. But
their website is not working.
That doesn't mean that there might be something cool there.
Yeah, their block explorer is working at least.
That's good.
But happy birthday, 2 years.
Yep, congratulations on 2 years to Librex Coin. And I think that is going to do it for show number 23. Once again, we want to give a big thanks to Hex for coming on and chatting with us. It was great.
You're welcome. Sorry, I keep interrupting you a little bit. I think it's delay.
No, that's wonderful.
Not trying to just talk over you constantly.
We hope that you'll be on here again someday. That'd be great.
Yep.
Yeah, no, it's fun.
So, yep, thanks to Hex. This is Blockchain Dynamics show number 23. As always, of course, we are brought to you by Cryptopia.co.nz.
Yeah.
Just a reminder that we're going to be on Sunday next week.
Yep.
So once again, this is Blockchain Dynamics Show on Error by Trial Radio, and have a good night.
Currency.
Like a couple Bitcoin.
Money, 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 though.
Pull up on my Nakamoto.